Max, why are you bullish right now? What's your price tag for 2025? And yeah, what's coming next?
I don't know German, but I think I heard the word legend. Is that legend? Did you introduce me as a Bitcoin legend?
Yes.
Okay, that's appropriate. I accept that. So Bitcoin prices, of course, always going higher because the fiat money world is always collapsing. I don't look at the price for a signal to tell me how well the Bitcoin network is doing. I look at the hash rate, and the hash rate is always kind of going up on this 45-degree angle. As more people commit to the network, the miners and those who are committing to the network are the ones who are actually taking the risk. They are the primary risk takers in this network. It's not like the oil industry where if you look at the price of oil and the price of oil is down, then oil rigs go down and the industry pauses. In Bitcoin, there is no price at which people stop throwing computational power at the network. The hash rate continues to go up no matter what the price is. So don't even look at the price because it doesn't tell you anything. The only thing you need to know is that every 4 years, you go through a cycle, and if you hold for at least 4 years, you're going to be positive on your Bitcoin. Don't try to trade Bitcoin, just hodl Bitcoin, own Bitcoin, just Bitcoin. Don't look at anything else because everything else is for degenerate gamblers, and it'll just sidetrack you from the essence of peace that you will achieve by being pure Bitcoin maximalist.
Awesome, but then the Bitcoin price is way too low because the hash rate is just going up, so we're basically in a super cycle.
We're in a super cycle, okay? Why did Germany sell their Bitcoin, okay? Now, your country has made the ultimate faux pas. If I may speak, look, my name is Max Keiser. Keiser is obviously a German name, right? The most of the ethnic mix of America is German, and they settled in the north and in the northeast and in like places like Wisconsin. That's where my mother grew up in Wisconsin. And I'm from German stock, from Bavaria, from 300 years ago. We got conned into leaving Bavaria by a guy named William Penn, who started a state called Pennsylvania. And you see my name, Keiser, in a lot of cemeteries in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And my ancestors were printers and journalists, and they started the Lancaster Gazette, which is one of the first newspapers in America, and we covered the Revolutionary War. And I, as a former German of ancestry, am appalled at the stupidity of Germany's political class that foolishly liquidated your Bitcoin, and now you've taken yourself out of the running in the 21st century and made yourself irrelevant. This is deplorable. What are we gonna do about it?
Yeah, it's really a shame because now I'm ashamed of my nation. I was always proud, but now I can't tell I'm German anymore. So
look, there's only so much you can do with Wiener Schnitzel, okay? You got all the sausages. There's like 1,500 sausages in Germany. It's like, you know, sausages are the Germans what cheese is the French. They can't get enough sausages. There's so many different sausages. Okay, that's great. You got brilliant fucking sausages. We love it. But, you know, you don't have enough Bitcoin. You can't survive on sausages alone. You need some freaking Bitcoin.
Amidst a landscape renowned for its seismic shifts, Michael Saylor and his company have steadily amassed vast reserves of Bitcoin, crafting a strategy that seems almost alchemical. With vocal Bitcoin advocate Max Keiser joining the chorus of bullish projections, the intrigue thickens. What's brewing with MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, and the fiercely intense predictions emerging from financial pundits? Let's delve deep into this discussion. Welcome back to Investocracy Crypto.
So you talked about El Salvador buying like 20,000 Bitcoin. That's like the new target. So are they buying Bitcoin with the IMF money? Is this a possibility?
You know what I tell the president? I say, look, President, for years, the IMF has been throwing presidents of Central American and Latin American countries out of airplanes. It's time for us to return the favor and throw some of these IMF bankers out of an airplane. He's like, Max, I agree, but it's a bit harsh. I'm like, okay, you're the president. You know, that's why you're the president and I'm not the president. Okay, if it were me, I'd throw these guys out of an airplane and return the favor. But look, the IMF is a dying institution, just like every central bank is a dying institution. All centralized money is a dying institution. All bankers are a dying institution. As a matter of fact, Jamie Dimon has already died. He's buried out on the 9th hole here in the Encanto Country Club. In his place is this animatronic AI-driven bot that just commits crimes all day so that the feds can bail him out. That's their only business model. Crime is their business model. Jamie Dimon is dead, and so is the entire banking system. They're deader than Los Angeles, deader than California. They are a dead duck. It's a dead man walking.
So
hello.
So Bitcoin is hope. So El Salvador, what would you say to our German audience? Why should they go to El Salvador? Why should they visit? And yeah, why should they come to El Salvador?
Well, you know, in Germany, you had something happen in 1990, which was phenomenal, right? The Berlin Wall came down and East Germany became an economic powerhouse in its own right. You know, it went from zero to becoming a viable part of the country, and you had some really strong growth there, and it's always been the heart of the Eurozone. The Deutsche Bank was always the basis of the European Central Bank, and the German people have always been known as being savers and being prudent and being ones who have a low time preference. You know, that low time preference concept is very Teutonic in nature. It's very German in nature. And they look toward the future. They look toward, but unfortunately, all of Europe, thanks to the euro and thanks to these policies of money printing and Mario Draghi, who came into the ECB and turned it into a fuckfest where he's just printing money for every nickel and dime scoundrel that comes in his office looking for a handout, they totally trashed the joint. So you can stay there and go down with the ship, or just take all your wealth, put it in Bitcoin, move to El Salvador and start over again. You know, people are migratory in nature. Humans are curious. They want to travel through time and space. Why not go to the one country in the world that offers liberation and freedom and economic freedom, and that is El Salvador. So I say to the German people, get up now. Put down that Stein of Lohnbrau and go to the airport, get on that cheap airplane that's going to cost you less to fly here than you spent on beer last night. Come here and unwrap your Bitcoin, buy a house, raise kids, get some lederhosen. Get some lederhosen and eat a pupusa. And you will see Satoshi, because Satoshi lives here. And he's looking for lederhosen, pupusa eating Germans to talk to. Don't delay. Come today.
Max Keiser, seasoned financial journalist and Bitcoin advisor to El Salvador's president, has thrown his weight behind this bullish trajectory. He shared the Forbes cover featuring Saylor with a cryptic commentary, $2,200,000 in play. This proclamation comes at a time when Bitcoin's value, buoyed by market forces and strategic buying, reaches all-time highs, recent numbers honing in at $104,420, albeit having dipped slightly overnight.
Max Keiser, the one and the only. Max, thanks for taking a few minutes. We're here in El Salvador at the Adopting Bitcoin conference.
It was my pleasure. You know,
very busy.
We met at the halving party. I didn't even meet there, but we did an interview at the halving party.
Right, yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And so it's great to catch up with you and continue our conversation.
Right. Well, Bitcoin's gone up a little bit since then.
Yeah.
Do you feel that I told you so vibe yet, or are we not quite there yet?
I think we're getting to the point where people are just focused on getting as much Bitcoin as possible and not getting bogged down in figuring out why. They're just buying, they're just hitting the buy button because they feel like the front running and the FOMO and the hyper Bitcoinization is so strong that people are just like, hit the buy button and they'll think about why they're doing it later. You feel in the air the electricity. You know, the U.S. wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin. Some Mideast country's going to announce they're going to put an order in to buy hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, from what I understand. You've got nation states FOMOing into it. You've got the global hash wars. I've described it, you know, going back to 2019. You've got the retail market just kind of waking up to this. If you look at the Google searches, right, they've been asleep for years. Now they're starting to pick up, so they yet to see the whole retail influx of buyers. So all that's coming together. This classic bull market frenzy.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the Trump election is probably one of the biggest pieces of news in Bitcoin that's happened. You and I were talking a little earlier about how I think it surprised both of us. What was your reaction with the Trump news? Obviously Trump's controversial because he's got his own coins and all that, right? What's your thoughts about that change in America?
Yeah, I've been around for a long time, you know, and I came of age as a kid. I was a kid, you know, when Richard Nixon was president. We had the Watergate scandal, and we went through Jimmy Carter, and then Reagan became president. That had a big influence on me. That's when I really dived into becoming a stockbroker and working on Wall Street, and kind of got swept up in the Reagan revolution. And then we went through the Clinton years, which were kind of weird, and a couple of Bush presidents in there.
and we had Joe Biden. And the thing about the Joe Biden years is that it really was almost like end of empire. I really felt like, oh, America was finished. America is toast. America is over. We're just going to sink into oblivion now. The empire is dead. But America has a way to reinvent itself, which is unique to America because the Constitution and the Bill of Rights worked. It protected the sanctity of the elections enough to get the will of the people represented in the government by electing the people they wanted, including the president. And I remember back in the 80s, Luke, when the word on the street, and I was working on Wall Street at the time, was that Japan was going to dominate the world economy. They had beautiful manufacturing capacity, and they were cranking out cars, and they were sending them over to the U.S., and Japan's real estate property market had gone up to this absurd level of valuation where like a square inch of the royal palace in real estate was worth more than Manhattan or something crazy like that. And then the internet came around, and it favored creativity over conformity. Because the thing about the Japanese economy that made it strong was that there was a high degree of conformity. People did what they were told, and they did it like robots, cranking out this cars, and it worked until it didn't work. And with the launch of the internet in the 90s, the whole pendulum of global economic activity swung back to the U.S., and then you had really the rise of Google and Amazon and Apple, and these are all multi-trillion-dollar companies now, and that's carried the U.S. back to a premier spot in the global economy. Then you had this very strange digression in America toward wokeism, or basically social Marxism, and it really threatened to destroy the entire country. But true to form, from the distance rides a man on a white horse, to come and save the day. The hero, like Joseph Campbell talks about, hero with 1,000 faces. The classic motif of the hero arrives, and he brings with him the cavalry. I think even Elon Musk tweeted like, "The cavalry has arrived." And so now the stage is set for the U.S. to bounce back.
Data suggests that since late 2024, Bitcoin's meteoric rise correlates closely with MicroStrategy's aggressive purchasing strategy, fueled further by political windfalls like Donald Trump's electoral victory. Such events seem to have created a perfect storm, bolstering Bitcoin prices beyond the $100,000 threshold, consequently swelling Saylor's personal net worth from a modest $1.9 billion to a staggering $9.4 billion within months. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
A lot of people, when it comes to that freedom, have been assuming that corporations would be the narrative of this cycle and that nation states would be the narrative of this cycle, right? And so obviously, as this seems to be maybe changing, right? What do you think is going to happen in the coming years, right? Do you think we're going to have the traditional 4-year cycle? Do you think maybe now we have a super cycle and price goes higher? Do you think maybe price doesn't go higher, but instead the bear market's either dampened or changed in some way? Or is it just a total crapshoot that we have absolutely no idea with what's happening?
Well, back in the internet days, NASDAQ was at incredible highs. Cisco was the most valuable company in the world. And the assumption was that Cisco's growth would be 40% a year forever, essentially. And then they came in with a number that was under that, and that was the rug pull on the NASDAQ, pretty much. There was a rug pull on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ went from, dropped almost, I think, 90% from the high, starting in the 2001 break. Now, the cycles in Bitcoin, I think, looking ahead, will be, I see a problem developing in 18 months of liquidity, where it's just people are going to not be able to source Bitcoin at any price. There's just nobody. And so it'll be an illiquid market. And this happens in markets all the time. They get jammed up by having liquidity issues. That's why over the last, you see this sideways action in Bitcoin since the last time we spoke.
Right.
And people are saying, well, there seems to be a lot of demand. Why is it going sideways?
Current trends and forecasts remain favorable, exuding optimism about Bitcoin's sustained growth. MicroStrategy finds itself perched atop a formidable Bitcoin hoard, valued roughly at $50 billion, a tantalizing number for any investor aiming to reinvent their portfolio. But what do you think? Share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.